If you're looking to save money while buying books, this is like the perfect video for you, all right? But first, we say hello to my cat, TK, or Tuna. Okay, my bookshelf here is almost solely comprised by used books, collected by a variety of means, and I think it's worth the hassle. Number one, go to a thrift store, all right? There are so many different thrift stores you can go to, whether they're independents or franchises. In Canada, we have Value Village. They always have tons of books, okay? I have purchased so many hardcover books for a fraction of their price, all right? I still have the sticker on this one. $6.99 for Insomnia hardcover, all right? Good luck finding that price anywhere. Obviously, this is gonna work really well if the author you are looking for is an older author and or they've published so many books that you're always going to find stuff. I own about 74, 75 Stephen King books. None of them are new, and about 50 of them were purchased at thrift stores, and I've paid at most $8 for a book and at minimum $2 for a Stephen King book. So it's actually quite cheap relative to the cost of a paperback book, which is around like $20 plus in Canada. And it's hard. It's really hard nowadays to justify buying new books when, if you're a normal Canadian that is facing impending economic doom, you're thinking about ways to save money, and going to thrift stores is a smart choice. Now, there is a caveat here. Your books are most likely not going to be in the best condition, all right? And if you're fine with that, then all the power to you. I think if you don't like your books used, you're probably also the type not to annotate in books, then you kind of have to overcome that. I feel as though like a lot of people, especially myself, when I started getting back into books, I really wanted to just get new, clean books. But what's the point? I'm not someone who typically rereads books anyway. If I can buy a book at 50% or 25% sticker price, then that's really, really good. So it doesn't matter if your books are gonna have a couple scuffs here and there, as long as the pages are, intact. And that's not to say you can't find used books that are in good condition. I mean, this Stephen King book here paid $3.99 for 11/20. I paid $4 for 11/22/63, and this book retails for it says like $12.99 in the back. Just to say, I paid about a third of the price. And yeah, sure, there's a little bit of spine damage and whatever, but the pages inside are quite good. And look at this, almost a fresh copy of Under the Dome, practically unused. For how much? $5.99. All this at thrift stores, easily accessible, and as long as you're willing to drive or walk or commute to your thrift store, you're gonna do quite well. Coupled with thrift stores, I like to also peruse Facebook Marketplace quite frequently, because a lot of the time you'll be able to find newer books that way, especially book talk books, if that's your sort of vibe, and you'll still be able to get them relatively cheap. I find a lot of ACOTAR books and Fourth Wing stuff for about $10 a pop. You could maybe find it for $5, but it's relatively rare in my opinion. But think about this, all right? A Catch-22 50th edition, retail $25, there and about. I paid $5, 20% of sticker price. No problem. I just went to someone's house in Canada and they left it out on their doorstep. I gave them $5, put it in their mailbox, and we're good to go. It is so easy to build your library without absolutely shelling out a fortune. You just have to get over the fact that some of your books may not be in pristine condition. And if you're like me, you're typically, commuting to work or you're driving to work, you've got a bag, your book goes in the bag. The book is going to get damaged a little bit or bent or stuff. So it's kind of inevitable. So as long as you're fine with a little bit of that, I think this is the best way to grow your library. And in terms of like, some people might say I'm not supporting the author enough because I'm not like buying their books outright. Look, listen, if you have the money to like buy a specific copy of a book that you want to support an author that you love, go for it. But if it's an author you've never read before, you don't owe them anything. You still don't owe them anything if you love their books. Should we support authors and publishers? Sure, yeah, buy their books. But like, you got to look out for yourself first, and that's just how it is. That's just how it is. The world is tough, and people are getting squeezed out of jobs. People are getting squeezed out. They're getting nickeled and dimed for every little thing they do. It's not easy to own a full library of new books unless you've got a really stable income. The final tip I'll tell you is get a library card. Right, Squeaks? She hates me. Get a library card, okay? All right, that is the simplest way to read books at no cost. The Godfather. I've been wanting to read this book for quite a while, but every copy I find new is about $30, and I just couldn't find it at thrift store or on Facebook Marketplace close to me. So, just picked up the book at the library, read it, I enjoyed it, and I'm gonna return it. It's that simple, it's that easy, and going to a library supports your local city and your neighborhood and everything. So highly recommend. And it's kind of cool. This is a 60th edition. It's typically a black and red cover, but this is a white and gold cover. So with black sprayed edges. But yeah, great book. Didn't have to pay a single penny for it. And that is kind of the goal here is if I can't find a book that I want to read and buy for a cheap price, then I'll just find it at the library and read it that way. There is one caveat with the library. If you like owning books or owning stuff, the library is definitely something that goes probably against your goal of building a really nice library. So I'm still wrestling with this idea of, if I can't find the book for a good price, I'll read it for free at the library. But if the book is really good, do I not want to buy a copy and have it in my library for the future? Kind of something I'm still wrestling with because of the fact that, and that's my cat just jumping off, a library may or may not be a suitable solution because you don't own the books. Hey, get out of here. If you are the type of person who wants to build and grow your bookshelf and your library at home, going to a public library may or may not be the best solution because you're never going to own the books that you take out. However, if you are the type of person who likes to reread books or give books to friends for them to borrow and read and then give it back to you, then going to a library, figuring out if a book is good before you shell out money is a great way to do it. It really depends on what your goals are. So keep that in mind with the library. You won't own anything of it, but it's free. Hopefully these simple tips can, help at least somebody out there kind of rethink and reshape the way they've envisioned reading books, because it costs a lot of money nowadays. So thank you and keep reading.